Will Packer and I are always sort of, wanting to work with each other and find projects that stretch us and, continue the sort of legacy he and I have. And so that's number one. And when he brought me this script, I was like, really, Will? Okay, we're going here. And, for us, this is a new type of film. We've done thrillers before, but this steps into a slightly different realm, I think it's a first. Okay, yeah, we've seen films where it's the antagonist is a beast or an animal or whatever, and we're seeing, being chased. But this has a dynamic which merges both this family dynamic, which you're definitely invested in, alongside the thriller aspects of this animal and the chase. And the thrill ride doesn't stop. This story is kind of like a story about a family. They're a grieving family led by dad, Nate, and his two daughters. And, they're both teenage daughters. They're grieving because their mother, his late wife, passed. And I think their relationship has been strained. The family, the remaining family, the relationship's been strained. So, they take this trip to Africa where mom was from, the village that she was from, and dad thinks it's a great idea to sell her, like, hey, let's go back to where mom's from, let's perhaps rekindle while we're there. If you haven't been to Africa, this is a great film for you to see, because you'll see how, like, they call it God's country, South Africa, they call it God's country, and you see why. So we find ourselves in this beautiful landscape, going back to the village where she comes from, and when they get there, basically, that village has all but, emptied. There's no one there. Something's gone wrong. What we examine next is, survival. This animal in this small radius of the village, just outside the village, this is the animal's territory. This lion, that's his territory. And it's his territory because he's rogue. He doesn't want anyone else coming in there. And he doesn't want any humans destroying, his landscape. So this is where the bulk of the movie stays, and we follow Nate and the girls as they try to survive. Okay, so what you learn is that there is a rogue lion, and this isn't just any lion. This lion happens to be a very large one. When this thing hits the car, you feel the car move. Now, your average lion, yeah, but not this lion. This lion's huge. It's like it's another car hitting another car, basically. And we spend a lot of time sort of really giving the audience a sense of this lion's scale in its power. And also, what's interesting about this lion is that it's quite smart. It's thinking, it's calculated, and it's in its nature, it's a predator. But this particular lion is kind of, I'm going to go for these people. He's not going anywhere else. He's going to just circulate on these people. We don't really understand why, but towards the end of the film, you get a sense of what's going on. He does whatever he can to, try and get his family safe. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't know how to use guns. That's not his thing, but he will. He's not a fighter, but he'll try and, fight for his kids. So I think in this movie, he really is stretched to, to save his kids. It just screamed a lot of nostalgia for me. The genre, the sort of thrill, the sort of, intense, sort of take the audience out of their comfort zone and put them somewhere else. That whole ingredient palette was what really excited me. There's a family dynamic and there's a real tension dynamic. You know me, I like to make films that are never the same. I like to, spread, and I hadn't made a film like this, so I was really, attracted to it. The writing of the script is good, and I really wanted to work with Bolt. I actually took the film to Bolt and said, hey, I want you to make this, would you please play? And he was like, yeah, I'd love to, and and that's where this started to come together. I'm really proud of it. I think it's really well executed, I believe, and hopefully audiences just go along for the ride. You know, he's definitely in these films not the hero. He's not the guy that's like, oh man, he knows how to handle himself, he's gonna be okay. This is a man that's actually broken by the loss of his wife and the loss of the mother of his children, and their relationship. I mean, him and his kids. That relationship is fractured at the beginning of this movie. Nate is no fighter, you know, and even for his family, I guess he's kind of guilty of giving up after his wife has died. So there's definitely this broken man feeling of Nate when you meet him, and I think what they go through is extraordinary, but actually helps repair the relationship that has been, like I said, fractured, and repairs him. Even though he gets almost shred to pieces, I think he comes back a much stronger man. I liked that, you know, from a character perspective, it was complex for me to try and pull this together so that he is relatable. He's a dad, and he is the sort of the guy that he's not sure what he's going to do next, but he'll do what he has to. And I really, you know, wanted to bring that alive. And Bolton and I, you know, we sort of marked the territory of the script where, you know, this was where he was most fragile versus where he's most triumphant. And that balance was really important. I also liked that, you know, there was going to be this really intricate, you know, battle between the beast as a lion and the beast that is the man. And, you know, the technicalities of making this film were challenging, you know, in terms of how, you know, the actual mechanics of a lion versus a man, what that felt like and looks like. But also the sort of symbolic, you know, fight for two characters that essentially are living on opposite sides. You know, the lion has been ripped from its family and therefore fearful for its life and will fight for its territory. And, you know, Nate is the same. You know, he's mourning. He may lose his daughters, not only, you know, in terms of their love for him, but also in actuality with this threat. So that fight is really, you know, it's like a real battle. So I enjoyed, you know, reading the script, thinking how we pull this together. It was just, you know, Baltasar is very much, you know, a guy who wants to see it in the camera. He doesn't want to fake it. So we had a lot of preparation, actually. So a lot of consultation with the people that, you know, that do this for a living. Not fight lions, but, you know, doctors and whatnot, and poachers, and not poachers, but anti-poaching teams. We had to do a lot of understanding of what this reality looks like. Obviously it's a film, yeah, and some things, you know, we took artistic license for, but we did a lot of research. And there was a lot of prep, a lot of sitting around with the script, talking through things, lots of rehearsal. Yeah, they were really great to work with. Iyana and Leah both were just professionals, fun to be around, open-hearted, and, you know, took the work really seriously. And, you know, the good news is that we got along really well, and we became a little family anyway. You know, we really did, because we found ourselves spending long periods of time together, and we got to know each other a little bit. And I think some of that really transferred onto the screen. You know, sometimes the lines between action and cut just blurred, because we were really a sort of like a family unit. And it was really important for us to texturize that for the audience, because it is a big spine of the film. You know, you want them to survive this line, but you also want them to patch their relationship up. Yeah, there are definitely those metaphors. You know, death is a beast, you know, and it will come, and it might not tell you when, and it's frightening and scary, but you have to, you know, you have to go through that. Everyone probably has to, and it's kind of like a bit of a metaphor with the lion, who is also scared and longing and wants safety like everyone else does. You know, Bolt has an incredible sort of way to, you know, put the audience in the seat of the people in the films. He's done survival films in the past, and they've all been thrilling to watch. They're just, you know, you really get a sense of the reality of what we're going through. And I felt that this script, the bad version of it, would not pay attention to what this would actually feel like. The good version is what we end up doing, where we're really layering what this feels like, how scary it is, and how unpredictable this can be, how isolating it is, and how tense it is. So, you know, Bolt knows how to, you know, layer those things in a realistic way. You know, I was really keen for audience, I don't want audience to roll their eyes and go, that would never happen. I mean, obviously it's a movie, but we wanted to really pay attention to just the actuality. Yeah, that was, you know, part of his whole sort of pitch of how he wants to do this, is that, you know, let's keep the camera flowing so the audience don't get a sense of this is a movie. They're actually feeling like they're on this experience with us. It's a really interesting technique, but it also made quite difficult work. You know, we had to do perfect takes a lot, and, you know, sometimes that would take a long time to get. So there was a lot of rehearsal, but the style really, really amplifies the tension in the film. Yeah, you know, this is the first time I really understood the complexities of FX, and, you know, because me and my performance were an intricate part of building, you know, a lot of this, the lion's behavior, the big lion fight. These were things that we really sort of mapped out. We had a stunt performer and an animal impersonator who brought that sort of physical energy into it. Owen, and, you know, Owen and I would actually be fighting while he's got this incredible mask on and these, you know, like green screen suits. But that really layered, you know, the action. We wanted to be observant of the dynamics of a lion attacking a human being, which, you know, we saw some footage of real attacks, and then gnarly, you know. And we wanted to make sure that the audience got a sense of that in this film, and more than a sense of it, but really feel like this is actually happening to my character. Yeah, I think, you know, we felt a responsibility to sort of not villainize the lion. You know, it's called Beast, but it's a metaphor for a few of the themes within this film. I feel definitely that, you know, just paying attention to what is actually happening right now and how lions end up in those situations. Lions don't typically attack humans. It's uncharacteristic, but a rogue lion would have happened if a human tried to attack it or its pride or a surrounding animal group, and the lion got caught in the crosshairs. So, you know, we didn't want to beat anyone over the head about it. This is not what the film's about, but it certainly felt a good way to make sure that we are. It's a thrill ride. It's really like designed to, you know, keep the audience on the edge of their seats. It's scary. I think it's got a lot of, you know, anxiety, you know, built into it, because, you know, no one wants to be chased by a lion, especially one this size and stuff. But I think we really pulled off something that actually is a thrill ride. The audience can watch together and just be like, whoa. It is really stunning. The environment's beautiful. We caught light that, you know, it rarely gets caught on camera. You know, we shot from about 4 a.m. to 7, where the light is just beautifully sun-kissing the environment, and then we shot from 3 to 5, where the light was even better. Anything else, the sun was a bit too harsh. So we got some really beautiful landscape shots, and we just wanted to make sure that the isolation of this family was really felt by the audience. Will and I, you know, have made a few films together. We trust each other's instincts on certain things, and you know, we wanted to make something that we hadn't made before. We've done thrillers before, but this was something that outside of our wheelhouse, essentially. And it's been incredible, a journey with Will. We shared a lot of the decisions made. You know, we worked as a team. Bolt was very collaborative, really great. I think, you know, like, if I was put in a situation like that, man, you know, I'd probably do what Nate does, but the truth is that I would not try and fight this thing. I'd try and run as far as I can. I have no qualms about saying that. But the fact is, you know, if my children are being threatened, well, I'll fight. No, I never. You know, like in the spectrum of filmmaking, this is pretty out there, but hey, I love it. Yeah, I think this is one of those films that's, you know, it's popcorn ready. You know, I hate to make comparisons, I'm not going to, but in a way, Maverick really had that old school, I'm just going to enjoy myself and come out of there going, woo! I feel like this has got the same ingredients. So I haven't seen the full film. Today is the day of the premiere. I'm going to see the full film tonight, and I'm super excited. Yeah, totally. You said it. You know, that message in this film is pretty prominent, but it's not, like you said, you know, we're not trying to make the film about that. It is important to understand that, you know, we, you know, took the time to understand what are the dynamics in this part of the world. What happens to these animals because of poachers? Were there ways that we could help, you know, as a film company? But at the same time, we also paid attention to our footprint there, you know, not to disrupt the animals as well. And the film, you know, the lion isn't a villain in this case for me. He is someone that's very similar to my character. I'm really proud of the film. I think there's, you know, there's a lot to be said about making an old school film that just, you know, feels real, feels fun, not fun, but thrilling and heartwarming. And not trying to be too overly complicated or too long. It is a piece of entertainment, and I think, you know, like I said, I think it's well executed. I watched a really great director pull together stuff that I knew nothing about in terms of special effects, and I learned a lot about, you know, how well that can be done and sometimes how badly that can be done. So that was great. You know, as a director myself, you know, watching the team pull this together was very, very special.
Nate is a doctor, played by Idris Elba, and he's not in a great place in his life. He's separated from his wife. He has a bit of a drinking issues, and he's trying to regain his family. And especially the older daughter is not happy with how he dealt with the last days of her mother's life, and so. For me, the beast, if you could say so, is a metaphor for the hardest thing to overcome is to get children back in your life after a trauma like that, and you know, and overcome, and in the end protect them and be the man that you are supposed to be when it comes to your children. And what I really wanted to do is to shoot this in the wild, you know, so you could feel and smell and the visceral, how it is to be there. You know, there are snakes, there are crocodiles. It's a real place, and I think it pays off. I think you will feel that you are there with this family, and in the heat and in the kind of this mess, you know, and the worst of situation you can get into. And I also shot the movie a lot in like long one shots, so I would give you the feeling you can't get out of there. You're stuck in the shot with the characters. Peter Kramer called me, you know, during the COVID, you know, COVID-related things, and in our conversation, you know, he asked me about what I was up to, and he said, you know, would you be up to doing this kind of a movie for us? And I, yeah, well, send it to me. You know, Africa sounds great, and so does Idris Elba, you know, and a lion, even more so, you know. So that was the one thing, and the things that kind of got me excited. Then I realized also when I read it, you know, it's a fine story, and I thought, okay, but it also has a real opportunity for filmmaking, you know. You know, I can play with this because it is not like plot heavy, and it's not like overly complicated. It's a very clean journey that I can you know, put my kind of my touch on it, you know. So that, yeah, that was kind of the you know, and also, you know, there's nothing about Africa that would keep me away, you know. So yeah, and that was a very, you know, I could kind of see myself in that. and my journey through the, last few years, it was very close to that. So it was, even on a personal level, I thought, yeah, this is great. I can put my angst, my what I've learned over these years, and my own journey into it. And I think always when you do that, it's just more, gives you more to make films, to be able to do that. Like in the end, it's more, it's more fulfilling. Well, it brings some, it brings first of all, a movie star, a huge charisma, sex appeal, whatever, all you want from a movie star. But he also brings soulfulness and real acting chops. And I think in a role like that, to give it a full-fledged character, you need that. And that's what I was really excited about, is to dig in and go to the backstory and what they've been through and how he kind of gets it together in the end. And he's not trying to be a superhero. Even he's a little clumsy at moments, and he doesn't quite, both emotionally and physically, figuring out. But he's also somebody you believe at a certain point could do things that he does in the movie. And it was a great pleasure to be able to audition a lot of young girls for that role, and finding those diamonds in the rough, and working with them and giving them, like Leah, like the first big steps in this industry, and Iyana also, is breaking through in her work. And I think, I love that. That's also just part of what I love about my job, is to find talent and give them opportunity and help them take the steps, and then be an old man and say, yeah, I've been proud of that, I helped her, But it's really giving, and of course they are both incredibly talented. Leah has this comic strike, which is just, you can create. It's either you have it or not. And when I saw her, it's like, there's no question in my mind, And then the Iyana, who was, she had to take on Idris and challenge him, and that's not a small feat, to challenge an actor like that and stand up to him, And I think so I was really happy with that. And then having Sharlto Copley, which is presenting Africa in all its glory, and all the other people we had in the film, I mean, it meant everything to shoot in Africa, because you're creating a baseline of reality, and the reality of where the movie is happening. And you don't have to shoot around any corners. You can use that country. But it takes a lot of work to find that country inside that country, because, there are endless acres of industrial, agriculture and stuff. But you have to find those demons and create it, like, we went from Namibia to Mozambique, borders inside South Africa, to find those locations, and then back to Cape Town. This is 2/3 of U.S., So it was the biggest scouting I ever done in my life. But because the baseline is rural Africa, South Africa, it does help to bring the lion into as much realism as possible at this stage in our industry, and with the technique that we have. And I don't think we could have done that a few years back, not at this level, where the lion needs to be real lion, not a singing lion or talking lion or dancing lion, So I think, and then of course that was a huge challenge, going through and finding all the footage that how lions act, and we sourced with, Enric Prada and Framestore, we sourced every possibility of seeing how animals attack and lions attack, and then putting that in the one-shotters, which is even more complicated, and actually that was the stuntman who was working against Idris to create this, to react to and, to be tossed around with. He was raised on a lion farm, so he knew how lion went about. So we tried everything to make it as authentic and real as possible. And the same, very importantly, get the gravity of the lion. Not only of the situation in the beginning, but also of the lion and his physicality. Yeah. And it's it's like, in the end, like, we can't blame nature. It is what we, it's what we do in nature, and taking their lands and poaching them, and in the end, they're gonna strike back, like the climate is doing. you can't blame the tsunami. You know, like it's a course of actions. It doesn't start there.
Yeah, so I got pitched this as just a concept, a pitch from Jaime Primak Sullivan, who is an executive producer that I've worked with before. She's always got great ideas, full of great ideas. She comes to me, I'm getting on a plane, she says, I got an idea. I said, okay, I'm about to take off on this plane, so give it to me quick, and I'll call you when I land. She goes, okay, think Cujo or Jaws with a lion. And she hangs up the phone. And so now I'm on the plane for 4 hours, and that's the concept in my head. And I gotta tell you, Jose, by the time, I didn't mean to say Jose. And I gotta tell you, by the time I landed, I was like, oh, I got it. I got the movie. I know what it can be. This could be a lot of fun. And one of the first calls I made was to Idris Elba. And I called him and said, I got something for us. And he and I have worked together many, many times before. He's one of my most frequent collaborators. We got a shorthand. We trust each other. We're very close. And once he said, hey, that could be fun. We can do this, and we can do this in a way that people won't expect. I said, okay, I'm in, let's figure it out. And that's what got the development process rolling. You know, this movie, Beast, would have been a very different movie with a different actor. And there is only one Idris Elba version of this movie because he is such a unique and singular talent. And he gave us the gravitas and the grounding and the weight that we needed to make this something more than just a run-of-the-mill, cheesy B movie. He helped to elevate this and give it some gravitas. He really did. And it's having him on board that, to me, is one of the strongest elements of the movie. He's playing a father that is torn, that is under stress, that is estranged from his daughters, whose family is ripped apart, whose family is in peril, and all that's true before he ever touches foot on the continent of Africa. Then, by the way, he gets there and has to go into survival mode because he and his daughters now are face to face with a man-eating, bloodthirsty lion. The idea of having an actor that is able to balance that and get you invested in his character even before we jump into this really taut, palpable action that our director Baltasar put together is just a true gift. And that gift came in the form of Idris. Baltasar has such an amazing ability to toe the line between broad scope and intimacy. He is able to bring you into a world where you see these amazing broad vistas of the African savannah and take you from there into a world where you've got this monster, right? This killer lion that will not stop, that is continuously coming after our family. And also bring you into quiet moments in the car where they're talking about their situations, they're talking about their family drama, they're talking about their trauma, and they're having these quiet moments where you get invested in the family, in the characters, and in their own drives and their arcs. And then before you know it, bam, you're right back into these action sequences with this lion, which is nonstop. And so Balt does an incredible job. I think that is his superpower in being able to balance both that intimacy, that important human interpersonal character drama with the scope and action of a film like this. Yes, shooting in South Africa was the thrill of a lifetime. Absolutely was. It was incredible. It was my first time shooting on the continent. It presented its own unique opportunities, like these amazing shots of the African savannah and the plains that you will get nowhere else. You just can't create that on a green screen, not in the way that it feels organic. It also created its own challenges. We were so far away from the nearest city. You know, we didn't have a lot of resources and amenities with us. Anything you didn't have, you just had to go without because it would take, you know, so much time to get it brought in. You were out there in the animals' domain, in their territory, and we had to adjust to that. That was the reality of shooting there. And then also bringing the lion to life, the CGI factor of this was very important. We knew we weren't going to shoot with real lions. We wanted to make sure that we had a CGI lion that was up to task because the lion is a character. It's a character in this movie. The lion is a beast, but in a way, so is man. Man is the beast that has created this lion. And just like Idris is out in self-preservation mode and trying to protect what's his, so is the lion. The lion is in self-preservation mode, protecting what it is, what is his. So Beast really serves as, it's a symbolism for both of them, for the parallel tracks that both our main character, Idris, and our lion are on. And they're both characters in this film. And they go head-to-head in a showdown, and only one can win. Yes, absolutely. You look at the supporting cast of this film, and they are what really help to complete the dynamic of this narrative, because you have to believe that these girls are filled with angst, in peril, estranged from their father, and then are able to deal with this crisis, this lion that is coming after them. That's no small feat. And the Sharlto character, who is the one character who is native to this environment, who knows this world, who is our guide, not only for the characters in the film, but for us, the audience, giving us the lay of the land. He is somebody who, in real life, Sharlto Copley is a native South African, and so he helped us to bring the nuance needed in order for this character to be believable. But it's definitely the supporting actors in the film which helped to elevate it. That's right. Yeah, without a doubt, you know, the underpinnings of this movie are all about what we need to learn about respecting nature. That is something that you see in this film. This beast is man-made. He's man-created, almost as if we went into a lab and created him, because we ripped him from his family and destroyed his pride. And this happens in real life and creates these rogue lions and creates these nomadic lions who don't have prides. And we do that. And we have to understand that there are repercussions that we, as humans, as a humanity, when we don't respect nature and we don't respect the animals that are here, especially in their own domains, when we go into their domains and we disrupt their ecosystem and the cycle of life, there is always going to be ramifications. There are going to be repercussions. And this movie takes a look at the extreme example of what could happen when something like that goes on. Beast is a taut thrill ride. It's a survival thriller. It's all about self-preservation. It takes you right to the edge of your seat. It will have your knuckles white as you grab the person next to you, drop your popcorn a little bit, but ultimately have a good time. It's the type of movie that you go see in the big screen on a theater to experience it. You're gonna enjoy it. When you separate those prides, you have these alpha males that otherwise would be part of a group. The ecosystem is intact. The female lions, lionesses go out and hunt. The male lions protect the pride. They stay together intact. When you separate them out, you create these rogue lions. And this is an examination of what happens when a rogue lion discovers who the real enemy is. And the real enemy is man. There is deafening silence, if you will, because they're looking around trying to figure out where the beast is, and they don't know. And you hear the sounds of the bush, and the bush is alive, but you know that there's something out there that is hunting you, that is looking for you, that wants your blood. When you're sitting in a theater and you can feel the tension that they're going through, you literally can see the sweat dripping off the actors as they look across a moonlit savanna, and then you see just a shadow, and you wonder, what was that? Is it just trees rustling, or is that the beast that is coming? So our director, Baltasar Kormákur, he did an amazing job with creating a energy around this film. It was something that was very, very important. We knew that we were gonna have a family in peril. We made a very specific decision to shoot in Africa, in South Africa, deep in the bush of South Africa. This is not a green screen. This is not shot on some stage in the middle of a US city. This is something that we wanted to go and really be in the environment so that you could feel it, so you could have these wide, scopy shots that really made you feel like you were there. And this is Baltasar saying, I've got a vision that I want to bring the viewer inside this world. One of the decisions that he made was to use a POV technique of shooting this film. And so he takes you on the journey and you follow the action. They're very long takes and you are in a point of view perspective from the camera. The camera is taking you through the whole thing and you feel, it makes it visceral. There's a kinetic energy to the film.